There are two types of drivers out there. Drivers who cause dings,
and drivers who get Ching.
Those who cause dings drive too fast, ignore road signs and miss out. The ones that get Ching are insured with Dialdirect. They drive right and earn up to 75% of their premium back in cash monthly.
There goes a dinger.
So stop the dings.
Dial up your Ching.
To switch your car insurance to Dialdirect, SMS dial to 42824. Do your thing. Get back Ching.
And a very good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for joining me this morning on the Dial Up Your Ching webinar. I'm so excited. I'm absolutely looking forward to it. My name is ProVerb, and listen, we have a lot to talk about. So thank you so much. I know there's everybody from everywhere who's joining us. Thank you so much for signing up. So what is this thing all about, right? Well, we could all use ideas on how we can dial up the Ching. So this morning, I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the points that I think we can all dial up so we can dial up our Ching. And I invite you to please send me your thoughts as well. If you agree, if you disagree, even if you just want to add to it, you're more than welcome to do. And as you do, please use the hashtag DialUpChing. You can also do so on Twitter. And when you do, I have 10 copies of my memoir, The Book of ProVerb, that are up for grabs. So that hashtag again is DialUpChing. So please do engage throughout the show. Otherwise, I will also take your questions at the end of the webinar. All right. A big thank you, by the way, to Dialdirect and to City Press as well for this wonderful platform. I think we need more of these, more opportunities to engage like this so that we can help each other dial up the Ching. All right, so here we go. Let's start. The first thing I think we can all dial up is dial up your passion. First of all, what is passion? Passion is that reason to get up in the morning, something that gets you excited, something that gets your engine started in the morning, a reason to want to get up and go. Now, the question I want to ask is, are you passionate about what you do? Do you even like what you do? Does it make you excited to get up every single morning and say, today, I'm going to change the world, I'm going to impact the world? Oprah says, and it's one of my favorite quotes, passion is energy. Feel the power that comes from focusing on what excites you. How many times are you given a task that you are absolutely disinterested in? It feels laborious, it feels choresome, it feels like it takes forever, it feels like a weight that you carry on your shoulder. However, if you have a task, on the other hand, that you're passionate about, that you're excited about, do you agree that you execute it with precision? You go back and you double check, you go above and beyond, you do more than what is asked of you because you are passionate about it. So my challenge to you is to review. Are you passionate about what you do? Because if not, there's a couple of things that you can do. Either you have to change what you do, or you have to change your attitude towards what you do. And that, my friends, is how you ignite your passion. So the questions to ask yourself is, what is your passion? Are you doing what you're passionate about? If not, are you positioning yourself to do what you're passionate about? In other words, is what you're doing now setting you up to do what you're passionate about? So eventually you want to perhaps start a business, you want to open a studio, you want to be an entrepreneur, right? But you have to perhaps do the 9 to 5 so that you can get the capital, which can set you up to do what you want to do. That's what I mean by, are you positioning yourself to do what you're passionate about? Also, beyond money, right? What is your driver? This is another determining factor to passion. What drives you? Is it fulfillment? Are you fulfilled by what you do? Are you satisfied? Are you impacting the world in any way, shape, or form? And is this the fulfillment that you get beyond the money? All right? Because there's a fine line between fulfillment, as you know, and success. And more often than not, we prioritize success, but we're not fulfilled. And I challenge you to say, consider how fulfilled you are in what you do, because this will in turn help reignite your passion. If I may share an anecdote from a personal life story. So I matriculated in 1998. I came up to the big city, Johannesburg, in 1999. And at first, I wanted to study IT. Because I was told and advised this is the way of the world. You want to be savvy. You want to sort of be computer literate. I studied IT. I will have you know that I didn't even make it to the exam. If anything, that first year of studying IT, I won the first year's concert, right? Then the next year, I tried computer science at Midrand University, now Midrand Graduate Institute. And even then, I didn't even make it to halfway in the year. Now, I knew all along that I wanted to be an entertainer, but of course, we never considered it a profession. And, you know, our parents, bless their hearts, they also never considered it a profession. So the year after that, I tried IT, which is closest to entertainment, at least as compared to IT and computer science. I will have you know that not only did I excel, not only did I get my distinction, I was even employed by the institution to lecture part-time students. Now, what's the moral of my story there? Is if you're forever judging a fish at its ability to climb a tree, it'll spend its entire life thinking it is stupid, right? So I try to do IT, complete mismatch, because I thought that was the right career choice for me. Absolutely failed, didn't make it to the exam, got closer to what is my calling, to what I'm passionate about, and I excel. So to repeat my point, dial up your passion, line yourself up with what is your calling, something that comes naturally to you, something that you enjoy, and it's almost inevitable that you will flourish. Point number 2, dial up your plan. Now, it's all good and well to have end goal, but if you don't have the necessary steps on how you're going to get there, then chances are you will not achieve it. A wonderful quote here that I read from one of my favorite books, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It says, sow a thought, reap an action. Sow an action, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character. Sow a character, reap a destiny. Now, what that means is, at least how I interpret it, is if you invest in the step-by-step plan on how you want to achieve your bigger goal, you break it up into chunks, into small, into medium, and into long-term goals, then you start eating it, you know, as they say, you eat the elephant one bite at a time. So you start taking the necessary small steps, and before you know it, what you will achieve is mighty. So here are the questions to ask yourself. Where is your business now? Where do you want to take it? What do you need to do to take it? Because how many of us have, you know, an ROI, we have a, you know, profit margin or a projection that we want to achieve, but we don't necessarily think about the steps. How often do we visit, you know, our steps, the strategy, and the plan, right? Do you have measurable milestones, even in your personal capacity as a personal brand or as an individual? You know, say you are creative, you want to release an album, but do you have measurable milestones? In other words, have you secured your beats? Have you written the songs? Have you booked the studio? Have you arranged for an engineer? Do you have a sound engineer? Do you have a plan in motion? Once you have released this product, do you have a marketing plan? Do you have a strategy? So all these measurable milestones in the end all add up, and then success becomes inevitable. How often do you revisit your plan? If we learned anything from COVID-19 is, you know, to be rigid in our plans is definitely not going to serve us, because the world is ever changing. There are always inevitable and unexpected circumstances, and we need to adjust our sails as the wind definitely blows. So be stubborn about your goals, but remain flexible with your methods, right? So I wanted to be an entertainer, right? By 2003, I got my radio gig as a technical producer for DJ Fresh at YFM. Now, at this time, I'm only a technical producer. That's as far as I'm thinking, because I want to just be a sound engineer and nothing else. That same year, at the Rand show, while I was performing, I'm approached by somebody, and they say to me, hey, there's an opportunity for Channel O presenters. Are you keen to consider being a Channel O presenter? Have you ever thought about it? At this stage, had not thought about it at all. So I'm trying to make a point about remaining flexible, because as soon as this opportunity presented itself, I recognized it as an opportunity, capitalized on it, and the rest is history. So not only did I get the Channel O gig, I went on to become a television presenter on top of everything I do. And to date, I host one of the biggest TV shows. So that's just to say, if you remain open and flexible about your approach, then chances are, you know, success will come find you. Inga says, true, you need to have a plan and visit it often and adjust it accordingly as you go. Absolutely agree. Thank you so much for that. Please keep those comments coming. Always love to hear what your thoughts are. Then dial up number 3. Dial up your skill set. Dial up your offering. So even though you have picked a particular vocation, you have picked a particular field or line of work, are you constantly developing your skill set? Are you learning more constantly, or are you remaining stagnant and therefore becoming very easily replaceable? Here's a quote that I love. It says, "The future is closer than you think. You can pay attention now or watch transformation happen right in front of your eyes." So what that means is the world is forever changing, and it's changing rapidly, especially now that the fourth industrial revolution is upon us. Suddenly we had to adjust to e-learning. Now, how many of us had to upskill ourselves? I mean, here you are, I'm delivering an entire webinar on a digital platform, and I'll have you know, this is my first one, and I'm very excited that it's this one. But we have to constantly upskill ourselves, pick up new skills. So are you developing new skills, new competencies? Are you easily replaceable? Now, this one is an interesting one for me because you know, there's always somebody who is better equipped than you, who knows more than you, who's willing to do what you do at a cheaper rate. So in order to remain competitive and ahead of the curve and head and shoulders above everybody else, you have to be constantly upskilled. You have to always know what is coming. You have to try and anticipate which way the world is developing so that you can always be ready for it. You know, now, I'm relatively established in my career, right? So I had a 15-year music career, 17-year radio and TV career, and I've been, you know, 20 years plus in the entertainment business. Yet, I am currently studying. I just completed a short course in property development and investment. I did another short course in tax law, and I'm currently busy with a financial investment course. And the point of all that is you have to constantly upskill yourself. There's never a point where you know all there is to know. There's always somebody who knows more than you. So you need to constantly evolve, constantly. In fact, my dad, who is a GP out in Tabanchu, he's a medical doctor. Let me tell you, every single night, this guy is still hitting the books, and it's not all necessarily medicine, but he's constantly upskilling, and he knows so much about so many things, and therefore can always evolve his career to any which way direction that he likes. And this brings me to another anecdote about the upskilling yourself. So as an entertainer and as a presenter, I then got an opportunity to engage with the production company Sick Entertainment about being part owner. Right now, I obviously wasn't ready for this opportunity because what do I know about running a business, about running a company? I know about dimming lights in front of the camera, speaking behind the mic, possibly performing on stage. But when this opportunity came, I had to then go and upskill myself and say, do I know about the business of entertainment, right? And by doing so, I was then afforded this opportunity to co-own the production company. So again, with our sort of growth prospects, if we are to grow in whatever field that we are in, we need to constantly be upskilling ourselves. Point number 4, dial up your side hustle. This one, I am a massive, massive believer in. Forbes say a side hustle is the new job security, because let's be honest, job security doesn't exist, especially now. We're in the fourth industrial revolution. Technology is developing at a faster rate than we can keep up. We are easily replaceable by, if not machines, by technology. But also, look at the current economy now. We know that it's in a bit of a rough shape, right? COVID-19, the lockdown, there were job losses. So do we have an alternative source of income? My favorite writer, Warren Buffett, says the average millionaire has 7 sources of income. How many sources of income do you have? And while we are sitting here doing this webinar, is this something that's running, generating passive income? And if not, why not? So we need to dial up our side hustles. 1, it's an alternative source of income. 2, as I mentioned, it'll stimulate your passive income. I mentioned that Warren Buffett has says the average millionaire has on average 7 sources of income. What does the side hustle also do? It offers more freedom. It's also about legacy. Look, nothing against the 9-to-5, nothing against working for somebody, but do you agree that we are also spending all our energy, all our intellectual property and capacity building somebody else's dream? So what I love about this concept of a side hustle is You work your 9 to 5, but it also gives you the capital, the resources, the exposure to build your own side hustle, which ultimately becomes your legacy, something you can leave towards your kids. I don't know if you ever saw the interview that Dame Dash did with the Breakfast Club. If you haven't, I'll give you a little bit of context. Dame Dash was there. He used to own the record company alongside Jay-Z, right? And he was challenging Charlemagne the God, one of the hosts of the radio show, about what it means to be a boss, right? And his definition of what a boss is somebody who puts up their own capital into their own business. They own it and therefore can make the executive decisions. And he was challenging the presenter of the radio show to say, do you own this radio station? And the presenter of the show kept responding, I mean, I own part of it, I own some of it, I work here. And it's like, but can you employ your son? And should, God forbid, something happen to you, can you leave this radio station to your son? You know, needless to say, the presenter of the show was stumped because he realized he doesn't own this thing. So that started challenging and stimulating my thinking to say, even if we are thriving and doing our best in our careers, right? What do you own that you can leave for your children? What do we own that is yours, that's your legacy? And I reckon one of the steps to achieving this is to start working on our side hustle so that ultimately we can get some ownership. What is your reason for not making it to the exam room? Because my interests were in entertainment. I wanted to be a rapper. Like I say, I was busy learning rhymes. I was busy producing beats and not attending class. My parents had bought a computer for me, but I spent all that time making beats. Why? Because that was my passion. But when it all turned around was when I turned my passion into what is now my career. And that's the point I was making with that one. Thank you for that question, by the way. Lisani says, you can't have $1 million dream with a minimum wage work ethic. My man, you said it, man. Dial up your ching. Thank you so much for that one, brother. Then point number 5, right? Dial up your personal brand. Now, a lot of people believe that personal brand refers to personalities, refers to celebrities, refers to people that are known. But I want to correct you. It isn't the case. Everyone has a personal brand. We all have what we stand for, what we're known for. We all have a reputation. We all have a personal ethos. And we all have something that you want to be recognized for or with. Whether you are part of a team, whether you are an individual, whether you work in a business, for a business, or you're an entrepreneur, we all need to work on our personal brand. So questions to ask is, what is your reputation? Can you control this? Can you alter what the perception is of you? And if you can, you should. What is the perception your peers, your colleagues have of you? All of these things speak to personal brand. What are you known for? When you come into the office, everybody should know that Thabo is efficient when it comes to doing the taxes or doing the logbooks or running through the calls if he's a call center agent or whatever the case may be. But you need to have a personal brand, something that sets you apart, your unique selling point, because this identifies who you are. What is your value proposition? So I am my business. If a client calls me and says, Verb, we need you to conduct a webinar together with the Dialdirect and City Press and speak to, like-minded forward thinkers. They should know what they're going to get. They're going to get passion. They're going to get somebody who's excited about it because this is what I love to do. This is what I'm known for. This is my reputation. And thus, this is what my personal brand is. What should be your preferred service provider? In other words, why should you be the preferred service provider? So if a client is looking for a host of services, they know that there are so many offerings, so many people who offer this particular service. Why should they come to yours? What sets you apart? And this is your personal brand because it speaks for you when you don't. In other words, it markets you ahead of time. Your personal brand introduces you before you walk into a room. So think about it carefully. I want to share a very cool anecdote. So in, I think it was 2008 or so, I tried to register for a course on personal branding, as a matter of fact, right? And because my school results were poor, because as mentioned, I was playing around in school, I didn't have the adequate qualifications for my application to be successful. So I was rejected, right? 2-3 years later, when I started building my own brand, when I started doing South African Idols, when I started doing, radio show at Kai FM, and, I started building the brand ProVerb, right? I was then booked by this same institution to come and deliver a keynote on personal branding to the same students who I would have been in the same class with. Now, I hope the point makes sense there, and it is your personal brand. If you grow it, if it speaks for you, it'll eventually become a valuable commodity, and you need to protect it by all means, right? Don't forget, if you keep engaging, the hashtag is DialUpChing. I do have 10 copies of my memoir, The Book of ProVerb, up for grabs. So far, I've received some nice questions, and I would love to hear more. You're more than welcome to send your comments as well. Or if any of this content resonates with you, please let me know. Use the hashtag DialUpChing. You can comment either on this particular platform, or you can also comment on social media. If you're on Twitter right now, you're more than welcome to do so. Hashtag DialUpChing. And at the end of this webinar, I will pick 10 people who I will give a copy of my memoir, The Book of ProVerb, right? So dial up your network. This is another important thing. There's this myth, especially in entertainment, where people think you have a connection or you can pick up your phone and manage to get somebody a job. And unfortunately, this connection is a myth. I do, however, believe in building relationships. And how do you build relationships? You build them off networking. Now, how do we network? Seeing as there's social distancing, we can't quite go to events, but we have technology at our full disposal. So do you have social media accounts? If you do they speak of what you do? Does it tell me who you are? Does it speak about your personal brand? Is it an extension of who you are? Or is it just about memes, about jokes, about, following funny people? And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but recognize that it's a powerful tool that, if correctly used, can help grow and build your network and create business for you. Do you have a LinkedIn profile? How often do you update it? Does it have all the latest information on there? Does it speak about what line of work you wish to get into if you're not already doing what you love? These are all tools that we can use to create a business. Do you have a YouTube channel? And if so, does it communicate what your brand, what your business is about? Recently, I did an interview with the Blue Train as recent as yesterday. And let me tell you, the Blue Train hadn't been top of my mind for at least a decade, because I hadn't thought of it. But because these guys have found an avenue to communicate what the brand stands for and what they're about by way of conducting live interviews on Instagram, it once again became very mindful and it became top of mind. And again, we are now engaging with this brand. It is accessible. It has a face. There's somebody we can talk to, and it therefore becomes accountable. So I encourage you in your personal capacity, but also as your business, to say, use these platforms optimally to position your brand accordingly to create business. All right. So we're still talking about dialing up your network, right? Your YouTube channel. How often do you update your website? And how do you then use this particular website? Because they also have a danger of being redundant if it's just a landing page, necessary information, but it's not interactive, it's not constantly updated, right? Do you have a newsletter? How concise and interesting is your newsletter? I mean, how many times do we get newsletters that is just a long, wordy, boring, something that I'm most likely going to ignore if it doesn't speak to me in any way, shape, or form? So in your personal capacity, do you have, if not even a newsletter, but some kind of platform where you communicate regularly with not only your clients, your prospective clients, but to help generate business as well? Right? Do you have contact with your clients, old and new? And if so, how often does that happen? Do you often cold call? Do you wish your clients happy birthday? Just to sort of make that relationship feel personal. That is how you help generate business as well. Then I want to share an anecdote with how important it is to create relationships. So I happen to also produce my own radio show at Kaya FM, which is on Saturdays between 11 and 2. It's called The Winner's Circle. Now, I will have how I generate my content in terms of getting guests to profile, they're all on my cell phone. How do I know all of these people? It's relationships that you've built over the years. Even now that I've published my memoir, all these relationships that I've built over the years are all sort of buying, supporting copies, some ordering up to 100, and it's all about relationships. Pindi Ware sends a comment here, says constantly upskilling ourselves, and it's very important to have side hustles and other sources of income, especially now that we are hit by COVID-19. Absolutely agree. If anything, COVID-19 just made it apparent how necessary it is to always have alternative sources of income. And as I said, Warren Buffett said the average millionaire has how many? 7. How do you network without coming on too strong or seem pushy? Listen, you have to communicate what your business is about. And just like how we communicate as human beings, when you are bombarding somebody. So I say, make the information available and allow them to engage with it as and when they please. So in other words, if I've sent you my profile, right? You keep it on records. It's up to you to peruse it when you're ready. But if I'm constantly badgering you, and that's not to be confused with persistence, but if I'm badgering you, then I think you start crossing the line. But there has to be a degree of persistence. I mean, take Kaya FM, for instance. I knocked on their door for a good 2.5 years before there was an opportunity to even have a meeting with the general manager. And since then, obviously, I've gotten my gig. So persistence between badgering is a fine one, but that's a great question nonetheless. Then number 7, which is an extension of number 6, dial up your digital footprint. It is so important to be visible, to be active on this particular new wave. One, because it is still largely free to market, to position your brand, to create new business. It is still largely affordable. I mean, back in the day, you would have to pay millions, to get an advert on primetime TV in a primetime slot during the weekday, right? Now, you can achieve the same amount of traffic for relatively free, if not much less, on a social media platform. So the internet is a limited resource. As you know, it's extremely wide. Everybody in the world has access. Social media, as I mentioned, is largely free. You can engage directly with your clients. So you give your product, your brand a face, a personality, a tone, a style of communicating. You can respond to all queries and seek to resolve. That's one of the things that I love about social media. Have you ever seen when somebody has a query or a complaint about a particular brand, then immediately somebody responds right there and they resolve? That for me is accountability, and social media gives us the opportunity to interact directly with our clients, but to resolve and to be accountable to your brand immediately right there. So you remain accountable, you remain active, you stay in touch and accessible, you learn from your peers as well. Now, I, as an entertainer, I also monitor the activity of other entertainers, and I see, okay, this is how they communicate. This is how they updated their profile. This is how they communicate what their value proposition is. Even as far as these are their rate cards, and then how you remain competitive. What is what clients are sort of being drawn to. You start creating online packages. For instance, I didn't actually have an online package structure until last year. What that means is if a client generally wants to book you to come and MC, to come and perform, to come and appear, there's a standard rate card. But if they say, we want you to tweet, we want you to Instagram, we want you to post, we want you to Facebook, then suddenly you realize, oh, wait a minute, I don't have a rate card for this. And how I discovered that was by looking at my peers in the industry. So social media is also an opportunity to look at our peers and, dare I say, our competitors as well. So learn from our peers, establish clients' needs, and provide solutions. And the anecdote I wanted to share was that in 2018, 80% of my business was generated off of social media. Of course, in 2020, I think that percentage is even higher now that we all had to operate and work from home. Number 8, dial up your adaptability. So dial up your adaptability. How fluid is your business? Are you able to maneuver according to the changes? So as the world changes, as the needs of your clients sort of change, are you able to provide? So I say remain fluid at all times. There's a big saying that says evolve or die. So how often is your business model evolving? There are always new and better players. So you always have to sort of remain ready to maneuver. Always seek to improve your offering, better and to offer even more. So even if you are a service provider in a particular field, even in that field, you need to try and be a one-stop shop and not have a client who has to then come to you for only this product, but then go to another client for that product, go to another client for that product. So try and be a one-stop shop. So in my line of work as an entertainer, for instance, you have to offer, you are able to speak, you're able to set up sound as a sound engineer, you're able to provide the entertainment as well. You're also able to add social media as a value add. So your array of offerings becomes broad. So whatever your line of work or vocation, try and expand and cast the net wide and make your service offering as broad as possible. That also keeps you adaptable. And the example I wanted to make was with the Kodak, for instance, who, remember Kodak was onto the digital world before a lot of people, right? But they stuck to their core traditional business model. And when it was time to adjust, it was too late and they lost out on a lot of business. I saw a comment there. I wonder if it couldn't come up again. But please keep those questions coming. So the digital world has become a big part of the world. 100%. And we need to maximize it fully. I mean, I have absolutely nothing against getting on to share jokes and to share memes. And it's all about the laugh and to follow the trends and to add our 2 cents. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But you agree that if that's the primary use of it, then we are underutilizing this massive resource, and we can rather use it to also, generate business, position our brands, let clients know what your service offering is, make contacts, build relationships. It's honestly a powerful tool that can help with all of this. So that's how you remain adaptable. Then number 9, and this is my last point, dial up your appetite for failure, right? There's a quote here by John Maxwell says, fail early, fail forward, but always fail. Fail early, fail often, but always fail forward. Even Will Smith said that, one of my role models. So to fail is a very important part of learning. The fear of failure should never be what holds us back from trying new things. How will we learn otherwise? How will you know what else you're good at if you don't try, if you don't experiment, if you don't give it a shot? Sometimes you have to be the groundbreaker. You have to be the pioneer. More often than not, it was never done before you. But in order to find out how it is done, you have to do it. The entrepreneur always jumps out of the plane and then figures out how to build a parachute on the way down. But you have to take that leap. Otherwise, how will you ever fly? So failure is the best teacher. Failure builds character. It also builds match temperament. So it prepares you for real life situation where you often have to adjust on the spot. One of my best friends is an IT guy, right? So he was flown to the UK to go and consult for a business. And they asked him a few questions, a few of which were way out of his scope. Let me tell you, he actually gave hypothetical responses, right? Then went to his hotel room to go and work out the calculations, and he actually came back and he had the solution. So point I'm making is, you never accept defeat as an entrepreneur. As people who want to thrive, who want to dial up the Ching, you never accept defeat. So what I always do is, if something is something I can figure out, I always say to a client, yeah, I can absolutely do that. Even if it means I must still go figure it out. I must still go figure out how it works. And I have until Friday to figure it out. Have I maybe never done an event where I have no crowd in front of me? Sure, I will accept the gig, practice, figure it out how to do it come Friday. So you always have to remain adaptable. And the fear of failure cannot be the reason that holds us back. I saw 2 more questions there or comments. I don't know if I can have a look at them again. Everything that you want lives on the That is a perfect quote. Thank you so much, Courtney. True art of life lies in the constant readjustment of our surroundings. My man, you are on fire. I absolutely love that. Absolutely true. So we constantly have to adjust, and fear cannot be what holds us back. So try new things so that you can fail, so that you can learn and figure out the correct thing. Learn from the mistakes and the mistakes of others. So not only learn from your mistakes, but watch what others are doing as well, so that you can figure out how to do things better. If I may share with entertainment, right? So I'm often asked, why is it that I I do so many things, if I'm, I'm blossoming in entertainment, yet I, run and manage a property portfolio, yet I have a couple of businesses that are outside of entertainment, and also within entertainment itself, I do so many things. And let me tell you why. One of the motivating factors was because I saw a few entertainers before me who reached their peak. And unfortunately, since then, it's been nothing but a steady decline. And you know what? Because they didn't upskill themselves, because their service offering is limited to only what they know, they weren't able to adjust and maneuver and therefore enjoy longevity. So the lessons I learned from not only mine, but the mistakes of others as well, is to say, remain adaptable, constantly upskill yourself. That way, you can always adjust and upskill. I mean, when I started my career, I was a musician and pretty much just a musician. Now, that even came to an end because I wasn't able to sustain myself as a musician, but I sustained myself doing other things. And it's all because I was able to upskill, to adjust, and therefore take the opportunities as and when they came. So remember, failure should never be your limit, right? Experiment, try new ways of doing business. The best way to learn is to do. You gotta fly, then you gotta jump. One of my absolute favorite quotes by Michael Jordan says, "I have missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot, and I have missed. I have failed over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed." Oh, that is one of my absolute favorite quotes. And it reigns so true. Just because he failed so many times doesn't mean the next time the opportunity came, he didn't take it, because boy, he did. And that's why we know Michael Jordan as we do. So fail often, fail forward, always learn from failure. Never let that hold you back. And those, my friends, are my few thoughts on how we can all dial up the Ching. Very keen to hear yours. Thank you so much for the few that have come through. If you have any sort of questions, thoughts, ideas, you're more than welcome to send them through. Soraya, my good friend, says, "Verb, I remember you stressing the issue of side hustle even before Corona. That encouraged me to start mine. I'm so glad. I certainly hope your passive income is not only sustaining you, it's adding to your current income and will eventually become your main hustle, your legacy, and afford you that freedom." Thank you so much for that comment. Another one, how do you maintain your personal brand? So always stay mindful that you are a brand first of all, before you are an individual. So whatever you do in your personal capacity will affect your personal brand. So constantly service your brand. If you are mindful of what you want your brand to stand for, what you want it to be known for, you will service it accordingly. And that's how you sort of maintain it. It is a constant. A comment from Tsapo here says, hashtag Dial Ching. Pro, please dwell more on your property investments and what made you enter the property sector. I will gladly do, my friend. I'm always a little bit embarrassed about this one and modest about it, only because, there's always a fear of sounding like you're boasting, but I will gladly share. So at the moment, I have a property portfolio of about 8 properties where I buy properties, I put them up for rental, and I enjoy passive income from my tenants. And the reason I did it was, initially, it was my exit strategy from entertainment, because I always knew entertainment was short-lived. We are easily replaceable. There's always somebody ready to take your job, somebody ready to do it better, somebody better positioned. I wanted to have an exit strategy, right? Now, because I'm so involved in entertainment, I needed it to be passive. And my best idea at the time was to get into property. However, my first couple of properties, I was making too many blunders, too many mistakes. I was ill-informed. I was going to auctions and not knowing exactly what I'm looking for, and just buying properties and later finding out that I have to fix and spend so much actually fixing it and so on, that I decided to empower myself. And so I did a Get Smarter UCT course on property development and investment. And since then, I have been able to make smarter decisions in my property business. So now I'm a lot more informed. I know about positive leverage. I know how to get tenants. My property portfolio is spread out. It includes the Western Cape, KZN, sort of the north of Johannesburg, and plenty in the west as well. So it's just empowering myself and just learning to do better in the business of property, but not specifically just property, but just alternative business and passive income. And I must tell you that during the lockdown, my passive income was sustaining me because my main streams of income had all been halted. So it has definitely served me well. I believe we've got names of winners for the book. Just before I read those, I just want to read another comment from Courtney here. It says, would you therefore say that it's important to grow your social media following in order to generate an income as a side hustle with brands willing to work with you? 100%. So I would do all of the above concurrently. So work on your side hustle, continue to grow your footprint on social media, because that's where you will generate a lot of your business, and it's a free tool for now. So you know, your activity on social media can definitely translate into business. As I mentioned, in 2018, 80% of my business was all generated online. Now remember, even just if you go hand in your CV and you go for a job interview, a lot of clients will actually go to your social media to see what your activity is, what you stand for, what you're about, get to know you better, because they know in interviews we put our bests forward, right? But on social media, we often our true selves. So it's always important to be mindful of how you represent yourself on these platforms. So I want to wish you congratulations. These are the recipients of my memoir, the book of Proverb. Congratulations to Lisane Nelivulane. Congratulations to you. Inga Zikali, you also get a copy of my memoir, the book of Proverb. Tepo Mpatlanyane, congratulations. Courtney Oliphant, of course, you get one. You've been sending a lot of comments. Thank you so much. Relebohile Maku, congratulations. You also get a copy of my memoir. Zeldre Swanabu, congratulations to you. And my good friend Soraya Masondo, who, by the way, always shows me love on the various platforms. And I know she's going to be listening to my radio show later on. Congratulations. You get a copy of my memoir as well. Folks, I want to believe that is the end. But if there are any more questions, I'm happy to sit and have a look. Asiya Fredericks, I hope I said your name correctly, says, how do you reject offers that don't align with your personal brand, especially when you're starting up and need the opportunity? Oh man, that is a great question, and it's two-pronged, right? And I would say you first have to do what you have to do to afford you what you want to do. So in the beginning, you may have to do work that you do not want to. It's not what you prefer. It's not your ideal sort of work. But in order to build the capital, to build the profile, to get to a level where you can afford to reject business that goes against what you stand for, you know, you have to do it. So for starters, I would say, if you're generating capital, you have to do the dirty work, right? So do as much work as you can, build the capital, get yourself to a point where you can afford to turn down work. I'll have you know, so I try not to do any alcohol related work, and you can imagine how tough it is, because that's where a lot of the big Ching is, right? So often you'll get an offer for a massive check, but you have to endorse an alcohol brand. But because it conflicts with my personal brand, what I stand for, what I want to communicate, how I want my kids to sort of see me, my legacy, I often have to, you know, turn that down. But fortunately, I've reached a point where I can afford to, because I have built a brand to that point. Now, had I been younger at the earlier part of my career, I would have absolutely done it. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's all part of the building process. If there are another one, how do you unwind and take care of your mental health? I like to travel and to take it easy, man. You know, you do absolutely have to disconnect. I do find myself often working myself into a circle. Just yesterday alone, if I may share, I was getting ready for this talk. I was, you know, preparing for my radio show today and on Saturday. I was preparing for the Showstopper show on Idols on Sunday, and we also have a rehearsal on Saturday evening. I was doing my course as well, my investment management course. But let me tell you, by 4 o'clock, I had also done, you know, 2 other interviews, right? By 4 o'clock, I could feel my brain was so wired up that I literally closed my laptop. I jumped into the swimming pool and I wanted to think about nothing. And I said, listen, come Friday morning, I will think about it all. So it's very important that, you know, you don't also work yourself into a stupor, work yourself into a corner. And I try and always stay relaxed. All right. Thank you so much. No worries. Congratulations, Saraya. I reckon I'm going to stand by for, say, a few more, maybe, shall we say 3 more, and then call it a day. So how do you position yourself to open up to opportunities? by always being prepared. The opportunities come in various ways, shapes, or forms. It's sometimes random conversations, people you meet in corridors, people you meet at events, people you interact with on social media. It's just about being well positioned to identify the opportunity as and when it comes, and being equipped to take full advantage of it. Sometimes you have to first take advantage of it, then figure out how you're going to maximize it. But if the opportunities are in front of you, maximize them and recognize them. Stay alert, stay acute, stay always heightened and looking for them. I feel like we are approaching the end. So second last question. Sometimes we have a plan and fail to execute, Pro. Have you had any mentoring in your journey? So it's so interesting. I don't fully subscribe to the concept of mentoring, because in my mind, that's often interpreted as one person that you know, are always following and shadowing and you want to learn from. But rather, I prefer to learn from as many people as I can. So rather than being mentored by any one person, or you know how mentoring is interpreted, I prefer to interact with as wide a range of people. And I find that I learn so much more and so many different perspectives from so many different people. You know, one of my interesting life and work lessons was actually from a petrol attendant. And I've shared the story before. You know, I pulled up to the petrol station, and you know, he obviously asked what I needed, and he proceeded to fill up my tank. And while he did, he was asking me, you know, do I need my window washed? Do I have any rubbish in the car that you can throw away for me? Do I have? Do I want to go buy a snack in the car so long? At least in the shop so long? Do I want to maybe give him $10? He can go give me a cool drink and whatever. And the lesson I took from that is, he was going so far above and beyond what his call of duty was. All I wanted was petrol, but he was checking my tire pressure. He was doing that. And so the point I'm making is, you learn from so many people, because it made me question myself and my job. If I have a client and they say, we just want you to tweet once a week and we want you to appear at this event, are you just going to do the very bare minimum, or are you going to go above and beyond, you know, throw in a couple of extra tweets, go in early for the event, stay after the event so that there can be a photo session, a signing session, or whatever the case may be, just to sort of always go above and beyond? And that lesson was from a petrol attendant, you know. So the point I'm making is, I don't sort of subscribe to the concept of one mentor, but rather to engage with as many people as you can and learn from as many as you can. Even when I often get the request to mentor somebody, I say, why don't we rather learn from each other? Let's engage. Let's ask each other questions and get to know about what we do, because I can bet you now, you probably know something that I don't, just as much as you think I know more than you do, but we all know something the other doesn't. Would you advise anyone whose work doesn't require social media presence to be on social media just in J, and how does that affect one's mental health? I would absolutely advise you to be present on social media. Remember, it's not just about your work. You know, you're also a personal brand, and like it or not, your personal brand feeds into the machine of who you are. So for me, it's very important. It's also very important to always stay mindful of why it is you're on there. So if it's to get information, to stay updated, to always know what's happening in the news, the latest, to engage directly with particular brands and service providers, it's a powerful tool to be on social media. And I feel like it's so powerful that it's nearly irresponsible to not be on there. I feel like that's the last one for the day, but thank you so much. So Dialdirect will be in contact with all of the winners to get the prize to you, which is a copy of my memoir. But once again, a big thank you to all of you for engaging. I've thoroughly enjoyed this. Sincerely hope that you were able to get some nuggets from that. And I'm happy to continue the conversation. We can on social media with the hashtag DialUpChing. But otherwise, thank you all so much. I wish you a fantastic Friday and a marvelous weekend. And I hope we do this again soon. Have a fantastic one. Cheers.